this is one of the reasons I'm doing this too. You know what I mean? It's it's healing for my guest, maybe a listener, and then also
Feel you, brother.
my guest today plays an instrument that makes a beautiful sound. I've always enjoyed hearing the sound of the tabla. On his Instagram, his handle is Tabla Craft. And in his description, he says, you can learn a lot about a person by listening to the songs that mean something to them. Arvind, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
My man, Peter, good to see you, and I'm excited to be on your show. My pleasure.
Thanks for coming out. So, in Real Talk, we like to build the history of our guests. So let's get this timeline going. Where were you born and raised, bro?
Born and raised here in Guelph, Ontario, actually. So my parents were first generation coming here, at least from our family, from Punjab, India, but born and raised right here in Guelph, Ontario, where I actually reside today.
Oh my God. You know what's crazy? I first of all, I thought you were in Mississauga or Brampton. And then what's crazy is my daughter goes to Guelph right now for school.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
What is she in? Because I know like we're big for agriculture, we're big for veterinarians and
There you
stuff.
go.
There you go. I do. Oh, that's crazy, man. Well, that's interesting. We could talk about it all day, but like my every Sunday I go to the Gurdwara here, which is like our temple, and
Okay.
the guy that I play with who sings every Sunday, he's like one of the veterinarian professors actually at
Oh
the U of
my.
G. So they must have crossed paths at some point or will.
Wait, what's his name?
His name is Ravi Rai,
Ravi Bai. Okay. So
Doctor Rai.
this is amazing. So the thing is though, she graduated from York in psychology. She has a degree in psychology already. But when our dog passed away, Abby, one of our dogs, my other one just passed away recently. But that sparked something in her. And then she told my wife and I she wants to go down that path. So what she had to do though is upgrade her courses, I believe, before
Okay.
she could apply to vet school. So she's going to Guelph and she's getting all the credit she needs and all that stuff. And then she has to apply like this year because it will start in September. So she's not in the vet course yet.
Getting in. That's crazy, man. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's where passion starts, man. It just takes a life event like that, right? And you kind of find your path from there, right? So that's
Yeah.
excellent to hear. Awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into later with you. But first, what about school now? So now that I knew you grew up in Guelph, what school did you go to, and how were your school days, man? What did you excel in back in the days?
Yeah, so music was always where I excelled, and like what was pretty cool about Guelph, especially when I grew up, anyways. I'm talking like grade 7 and 8, where I was
Okay.
at Willow Road School, so on the west end of town, and um, they had a band, and I really wanted to be in the school band, but it was like the traditional clarinets, trombones,
Oh, yeah,
saxophones, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and I went over and said, I got a tabla and I want to bring the tabla over here, and any issues, and they were open with it, and man, you got to see it, like it was like just vibing. It was so nice because it was like everybody's playing their own thing, and then you have like a little mellow tabla in the background, so it was kind of inviting. From there, I got into DJing and stuff when I was
Oh,
in high school at GCVI, again on the west side of town.
mm,
Um, did a bunch of school dances and stuff like that, which was pretty cool. Mainly into the hip hop scene. I mean, at that time, I think you probably remember 90s and 2000s was early 2000s was like the real, hip
oh
hop.
yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so that was where my high school was, and kind of that's what I was doing then. And tabla was sort of something I learned along the way on the side because it was a passion of my dad's, and he put me in music lessons. And luckily,
Hmm.
I had a guy in Waterloo actually who was able to teach me. So after that, I actually went to Sheridan College and out your way towards Brampton, and actually, I was on the Oakville campus to start, and then I also transferred my credits, like you said, like your daughter. I kind of
Yeah.
changed my passion towards supply chain, and I did a little bit of a BA over at Wilfrid Laurier here in Waterloo. But again, I was commuting, so always a Guelph guy, and then did a graduate program for supply chain and logistics, and
Mhm.
that's actually where I am now in terms of my career.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So after high school, but you know, you touched on something back in junior high. We had either, well, in my brothers, they stopped the string. They call it string or the band or whatever. I forgot what they called the trumpet, the trombone, the clarinet, but they had the string or those type of instruments. But when we started school, they didn't have the strings anymore. So the violin, the viola, and things like that, it was just trumpet, trombone, all that stuff. And I played the trumpet.
Nice.
So
Me
you
too.
just
Me
you
too.
played the trumpet?
I did until I was like, oh, I'm like, I can't do stuff. Like I'm better with my hands. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I could get the fingering down, obviously, because it's the same thing, but blowing into that thing and it was awful. You don't want to hear me play that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. I used to fake it, man. Sometimes when we had the big concerts, I wasn't really blowing anything. I was just press the whatever you
Yep.
call them, the keys or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, you that's good. You already touched on the post-secondary school. So I was gonna ask about that, but now since you already touched on the tabla, I want to know, was it hard to learn and get used to the skill of playing it? Because watching, I see you use your whole hand. So your palm, your fingers, different angles and positions. And did you have a mentor? Was it your dad? And how did that start? What age?
Yeah. So I would say always like, my dad would it all started with my dad. He would be the one, always into music, him and his brothers, actually all of them, and they all like different kinds of music. So it was like I had a younger uncle who I called my chacha. He was into sort of like the folk Punjabi music, which was really nice because it was just straight, tabla and a little bit of tumbi, which is sort of like the stringed instrument as you
Oh,
spoke about.
okay.
Then my dad was really into like the mellow guzzles, right? Really kind of like the softer, tone. You could probably nap to music or drive
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
like, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So all of that had the tabla in it. So they would just be jamming out on weekends, and they had a set for me, and they would ask me to come out and just keep playing. And the guy I learned from, his name is Professor Parshottam Singh, and he's out Waterloo, like I mentioned.
Hmm.
Actually, he was pretty world renowned. Like he'd met a lot of the best tabla players in the world, and actually, been learning from them and called them, his gurus. So it was amazing, and I was blessed that it really is a talent. If you Google tabla and playing it, it's actually one of the most difficult instruments to play,
Yeah.
and it's weird because I'm like I don't find it difficult at all, and other tabla players I talk to, it kind of just comes naturally to them, um and as I'm teaching kids, at the Gurdwara, which I mentioned earlier, I see it with kids too. I'm like, some of them have it and some of them just don't. So
Wow.
yeah, and every position you hit on the tabla, the
Hmm.
way you do it, like you mentioned, the way you move your shoulder, um, it's all in the hands, and really you can create a lot of cool noises and sounds and put them together. And I try to keep it versatile and diverse, and try to hit every culture and just play along to anything, which is the best part about it.
Yeah. And speaking of that, so do you know the history of the tabla, like how it got fell out, created, and who was the first one to play it? Is there a history behind it, a story?
Yeah, there's a history. I don't know the first one, but so essentially this thing is made of goat skin, actually, like the top surface. So it's a pretty unique kind of hand built instrument that they had, I believe, back in the 1600s. And
Hmm.
really, originally, it was used in kind of Arabic culture, Sikh culture, Hindu culture,
Yeah.
towards India, Middle East. Really, everyone used it for different purposes, right? There's a lot of like dancing that would have this as like the beat that you play to, and you watch the Bollywood actresses these days kind of spinning around in the
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
suits and stuff. It's all tabla in the background there. So that's kind of honestly the original way it started, and a lot of it was really entertaining like the kings and emperors at that time that sort of ran the monarchs. So they would have people come as music entertainment and be cranking out the tabla. So that's sort of where it started, man.
Yeah, man, nice. How was your dad playing?
Um, my dad actually was he always just had the passion to learn. He could speak the like sort of notes and touch it and try to like tell you what he wants, but he was never really taught it, so he didn't really know it. But
Mhm.
him and his brothers used to mess with it a lot. But in terms of providing direction, giving me material to listen to say, hey, check this out, and exposing me to everything related to tabla was huge for me, and just really struck my passion, man. He unfortunately he did pass away a couple years ago, and that's where I actually picked this back up. I was like, you know
Yeah,
what, I'm going to keep it alive and keep him alive through the music, and it's pretty nice because in the Guelph community, our family's pretty reputable through my dad. So anytime I'm out playing, they're always coming up to me saying, you know, you really bring back memories of your dad. You remind us of your dad, and I love hearing that. So that just keeps me going, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
And I think does that touch on like COVID time? Because I'm glad you told me your history of Tabla and everything, and I see it was from when you were young. But did COVID spark another thing into you? Because it sounds like your dad passed around the 2020
Yeah,
time, and then I know you had freestyle. I don't know if it was Freestyle Fridays,
that's right.
because
Yeah.
we were locked down, man. Tell me a little bit about that, man.
That's exactly it, man. We couldn't even go and get haircuts, beard
Yeah,
shaves, nothing, right? So you
yeah,
probably watched some of those videos and you got like this whacked out half fro going on, right? But
yeah.
no, it was that's exactly it. You just have a lot more time. I was actually at that time driving to Mississauga every day to my office at Financial and Dairy. Got to give a shout out to Maple Leaf Foods. That's sort of where I
Uh,
am, as I mentioned,
yeah,
and been there a decade plus. So I mean, it's like family over there for me. But yeah, after driving for 10 years back and forth, you lose a lot of time going through the Milton Highway at, just a
yeah.
lot of commute, right? So anyways, that time I basically gained back and I was like, you know what? Like I'm gonna go get a new tabla, and I actually had to retrain myself because I had a
Wow.
gap where I just didn't play. It never
Yeah,
left, it never really leaves when you play music. But
yeah.
but I wanted to reteach myself to a level that I could, put out a video, and it was just on Facebook, to be honest. I think it was like Super Bowl time, and I was pumped about my Patriots. I was a huge Tom Brady
Yeah,
fan,
yeah.
still am. So I played a little bit, and everybody really enjoyed it. And then everyone used to razz me. They're like, "You're not on social media. You're still on Facebook. You're a grandpa." They're like, "You
Yeah.
need to you need to get on Instagram."
Yeah, yeah.
And lo and behold, I told him I wasn't going to come on Instagram just to have another just Arvind account or like my name.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something if I was going to do it, and really be sort of a um, make something. And I started doing the videos. So as people liked it, you know how it is. You just
Oh
get
yeah.
motivated, and it just keeps encouraging you to keep going. So almost coming on 2 years actually in April. So pretty
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I like what you're doing. How did you come up with the name then? Tablet Craft.
So actually, it's pretty crazy. So after I DJ'd, I actually um, stopped again. Like I said, when you focus on school, you kind of, you want to get your education right before you
Yeah.
get into it. But my brother picked it right back up, and he got me into like his name was JT Audio. He was out in the Toronto scene as well a little bit, but he really got me into the EDM and house scene. And I
Okay.
used to love Mastercraft just because they do a lot of like crazy stuff when they're
Yeah,
on
yeah.
stage. They're real performers, and they go wide in their music range. And to me, I really just like the craft piece of that. And I
Hmm.
sat down and I was like, is it, tabla kid, tabla boy, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, because I like craft, because it's craft you sort of create with your hands, and
Yeah.
tabla, you play with your hands. So it fit really nice. I typed it into Google, didn't see there was anything except a coffee place that's out, I think, in like East Asia or something like that, called Tabla Craft. Actually, no, sorry, it was South America, but it's called
Mhm.
Tabla Craft Coffee, and that's another passion of mine, coffee. So I didn't mind that at all, as long as it didn't associate to something weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
promoting something bad, right? But no, it worked out nice, and that's kind of how I came up with it.
Nice, man. Yo, so I see you do a lot of collabs on Instagram, and I like seeing them. I particularly like the last post with a DJ. I think his name was DJ Atrix.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shout him out there. But do you reach out to people for the collabs, or is it at a point now where some people hit you up, just like how I hit you up for the podcast? But do
Yep.
people reach out now?
Yeah, I do have people reaching out for collabs as well. Normally, I kind of just, as I'm scrolling through, if I see something I like
Mhm.
and it means something to me, I'm right away just all over it and messaging back. But Atrix, shout out to Abe, but that guy, pretty crazy. We hadn't even known each other, and we arrived at a family friend wedding here in Guelph. It was
Mhm.
over at the Puslinch community. Sorry, not the Puslinch. It was the Aberfoyle Mill just across there in Puslinch, and a
Okay.
really nice setup. It was beautiful outside, and they asked me to come play the tabla for cocktail hour, and they had this DJ there, and he was just, I was feeling it. I'm like, let's go, right? And you never know what you're gonna get when you show up
Yeah,
at
yeah,
gigs, right?
yeah,
But he was on point, and kind of he just set me up, put a microphone to it, and we just started vibing back and forth. And slowly we saw sort of like the dance floor get, pretty exciting, and things started happening during a cocktail hour. And him and I have been trying to work on some stuff, and there it is. We were jamming in his backyard again. We just kind of hit it off, and that's always the best because it's like when you can vibe off somebody like that, you just want to keep doing it. So anyways, we're getting that prepared up, and it's
Yeah,
that's actually my favorite one too. I enjoyed that very much.
yeah, it's organic, it's nice. And when you find someone that it works with, man, you can't stop. You know what I mean? So that's good that you're progressing with that with him. But do you play a lot of venues and because you were just talking about it? Do you play venues and weddings? Because bro, I think you were in my area for Diwali at Bridalwood Mall. I was looking at a post. So
Yeah,
you were up here, right?
I was, man. That was cool actually, because I actually didn't have anything going on for Diwali outside of the church, and in my head, I'm like, how am I a tabla player without, some a gig on Diwali? And Moksha Canada, shout out to them. They reached out to me and said, you know what, we really enjoyed some of the stuff you did in the summer. I did a couple festivals, and this one they called me out for, and it was a good fit. And you're right, it was at Bridalwood Mall there, and an area I never really come out to, but
Yeah.
I took that 407. Damn right, I'm not driving 2 hours to play for half hour and whatnot. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, to your original question, it's I did a couple of restaurants. I kind of like the cocktail hour type vibe. Haven't really done like a banquet hall, full on type thing just yet,
Mhm,
but yeah, a lot of music festivals, a lot of multicultural festivals, outdoor stuff in the summer,
mhm.
school events as well, which is actually really exciting when you see kids kind of get stirred up and have interest in the tabla, which really, really sparks me. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing this year. It's been awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to the kids, so you mentor kids and do you go to schools or let the people know and the listeners know about that aspect of playing the tabla and teaching?
Several teachers that are actually either within the family. So my brother-in-law, my wife is actually a teacher as well. He's out in sort of the Peel region. She's here, Upper Grand District, sort of Wellington County. I also
Mhm.
have another cousin sister as well. She's out in the Peel region. So I mean, they always reach out and look for something cool because it's always nice during multicultural events or Diwali or things to kind of really show our culture. And they asked me to do some events. Either it was through virtual during COVID or actually just
Mhm.
show up and play at the playground and have the kids jump around and whatnot. So it's just music brings a lot of energy. I think everybody knows it. And it's just a lot of hype when you can come and provide that for somebody.
Yeah. Do you still get nervous before playing? Because before I started recording, I said I did stand up. 8 years from beginning to my last set, which I bombed at. I didn't even do good at that. That was when I was on my way out. I wasn't even practicing or anything, but I was nervous. It never went away. And some of my mentors and my comedian friends, they don't look like they're nervous anymore because they're in their zone. And even when I perform with Russell, like just watching him, Russell Peters,
Yes.
I was like amazed. Like he seems so natural. And it's like, yeah, this is what I do. So what about you?
Yeah, so you're right. Like you never know what you're gonna get. Like I said, when you come to an event, and especially if you're playing with somebody. Like I was at Laziz, the shawarma place, and this guy's been telling me, the owner, he's been telling me, come, I got a guy who's gonna sing, and he's like the best harmonium player in the world, and
Mhm.
come play with him. And so I Googled him and checked him out, and I was like, whoa, like, had I not Googled it ahead of time, like I would be pretty intimidated by playing with somebody like that, right? So you're right,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
nervousness doesn't go away. I would say for most stuff that I did this year, it was nice to have, family and friends around to
Oh
come out
yeah.
and support me. But I did one at Nathan Phillips Square
Oh
for
wow.
the Toronto Diversity Festival, which was awesome. And that stage
Yeah.
I grew up watching on TV when, New Year's and you have like Ashanti or Janet Jackson, even I don't know who all these crazy artists used to come out and
Yeah.
play, and I'm sitting on the stage, and that's when I was like super nervous, and the crowd wasn't even like fully engaged just yet because I was one of the first acts. But yeah, I was nervous, man. When you sit down in a spot, you look around at your environment.
Mhm.
Sometimes it does. You get those butterflies.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, I think I saw a post, Nathan Phillips Square. You done quite a bit. So that's amazing. I'm very proud of you, man.
Oh,
Very
thank you,
proud.
man. I'm really humbled by that. Actually, I was humbled when you reached out about this too. Overall, just in general, I was like, whoa. I'm like, I watched some of your videos after, and it's just great connecting, my man.
Yeah. Thanks, man. And now since we're talking about that, social media, like I was, when Facebook came about, I was like one of the first people on telling people about it like years ago, and they weren't on it yet. And now it's turned into this whole thing, right? So marketing and connections and all that
Yep.
promotion. So do you find that it's easier to promote now with the Instagram and Facebook. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but also to that question, is it easier to learn playing the tabla because there's probably so many videos and instructional videos? So give me your take on that.
Yeah, so for one, I couldn't believe like everyone who told me to get on Instagram, they're like, bro, you're talented. You should just keep going at this and whatnot. Put it on Instagram, put it on TikTok, everywhere. And I didn't think, honestly, I'll be honest, I was like, I remember YouTube allowed you to do live YouTube videos
Yeah.
if you hit like I think it was a 500 or 100 or something like that subscribers. And
Mhm.
I was literally like texting everyone. I'm like, I kind of want that. That'd be kind of cool. Get some exposure. And I literally had to reach out to everyone I knew just to get up there. And then next
Wow.
thing you
Yeah.
know, I joined Instagram and people are like, oh, wow, like, like you have. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, that is pretty cool. Like how much reach you can really have because it tells you all the numbers, like when you
Yeah.
set up a business account. And I was mind blown that, you can get that much reach. And,
Yeah.
and part of me like feels good and it makes me want to like keep hitting better numbers and, just getting it out there, music out there, right?
Sweet, man. And you're right about that. I love out of all of them, I don't like Facebook that much. I like Instagram a lot.
Instagram's the best. I agree.
Yeah.
I do find that, especially for what we're doing, I think Instagram is the best in terms of getting like the right outreach.
Yeah. So I got a question. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly. So I like a tribute that you did to Sidhu Moosewala, I think the way you
Yeah,
say it.
man. Oh, yes, sir.
So can you explain to the watchers and listeners who he was and what happened?
Yeah, man. So Sidhu Moosewala was, um, I don't know. I don't know how to explain this. So he was sort of made an example of, if you will say, he same thing here. He started out young guy, came over to Brampton from Punjab, and he came over here and was just a student, started getting into music, which was his passion, and
Mhm.
um, he actually started getting pretty wide reach and millions and millions and millions of followers. And the problem with a corrupt place, like Punjab, is that the politics are super corrupt there. And when you have a voice, and people are following sort of what you're saying in your vision, your sort of competitor or your counter political parties are gonna want to come at you. And what happened with him is he started to get into politics after he saw his music was influencing a lot of the youth in Punjab. And Punjab is a messy place right now, as all of our dads and stuff, uncles grew up there, and they look back and they're like, it used to be such a beautiful place, and now it's just corrupt, and everybody's trying to get out of there. And um, got too involved with politics, man, and he got gunned down just leaving his village. And it was murder. It was terrible, but similar to, I compare it to, like, you go to Jamaica and you have Vibes Cartel, huge
Yeah.
outreach. Love his music as well, but same thing. You got some sort of political powers that have got him trapped up in jail. He's still able to make some music. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
that's the crazy part about music is if you have a certain vision that doesn't resonate well with another powerful person, you could get yourself into some trouble, and that's what happened to him.
Yeah. You know what? I think I remember hearing that in the news. Because, if you don't know, like I'm a hip hop head from back in the days, right? But if you don't know what's current and stuff, like I don't keep up to date sometimes. You don't know who the people are, especially in your city, right?
Yep.
And then when I heard him and I seen the following, I was like, wow, that we lost a good one, man. We lost a good
Oh,
one.
he was a legend. Yeah, you could put him up there, man. Like, you got Tupac and Biggie, same type of conspiracy theories in terms of what happened with them, but unsolved mysteries, really. And same with him yet. We don't know who or what, but everybody's got their theories about what happened.
Yeah. R.I.P., man. Um, Speaking of hip hop now, okay, okay, let me know something here.
All
So
right.
I feel you have a love for music, like all types of music, but in particular, I saw a post with a tribute to DMX.
All right.
I saw a post with a tribute to Biggie. I saw a post with you playing along to Jay-Z, Pharrell. When did your love for hip hop start, man? Let the people know. You kind of touched on it in the beginning, but
Yeah, man. So I shouldn't have even been into hip hop, especially that kind, when I was like 7, 8 years old. But I had some older cousins, man. They probably were broad, roughly with your age. I think you'd relate well to them, but
yeah,
they were rapping and kind of making music back in the day. And Tiger and APS, big shout out to them. He's still actually on the scene, DJ APS, if you check him out. But we actually made a video together as well. But yeah, that's
okay,
kind of where my hip hop Passion Struck, they used to have it on all the time in the background, and they'd be doing this, and I just thought it was cool, you know. And
Yeah.
then actually, when I started to understand some of the stories like Biggie and Nas and the Fugees, all this, the
Hmm.
great ones back then were telling you're really like, wow, they know how to paint a picture. Like you may not have ever been to Brooklyn, but Biggie will tell you on his album what Brooklyn's all about. You'll almost be sitting on the street looking around and picturing some of the things, and you love the storytelling aspect of it. So I think all the rappers you mentioned are on the East Coast, so my
Yeah.
that's the kind of hip hop I'm into, right? And whether it's Wu Tang, Jay Z, Nas, all that New York City grime, I love that. And no disrespect to the West Coast, I mean,
Hmm.
they're more about the beats and like the bumping, and really love all that too. But yeah, that's where my hip hop started, and we went through a good era in Bad Boy Records and loved them. And then right after that, we got blessed with G Unit and 50 Cent and all that. So
Hmm.
you may go back even a little bit further than that, but I mean, I remember APS and Raju were both into Run DMC and sort of
Big
Public
Daddy
Enemy,
Kane,
right? That's it. Yeah, man.
KRS-One.
KRS One.
There's so many. But yeah, you took just before I ask my next question, you touched on something there. Like I grew up East Coast hip hop, and I still remember when West Coast got introduced. I think I was talking to this with REO, a rapper from Calgary. But yeah, man, West Coast came in with the Snoop and them, right? And Dr. Dre and what was the name? What was the group? They're on Netflix.
NWA.
NWA, man. So
Oh,
I remember when they came in and it was like, whoa, that's raw stuff. But yeah.
it was, yeah. Actually, I was trying to figure out what to wear for this today, man. I was like, okay, I'm gonna rock you're the traditional tabla shirt, which I started out with, but I actually had a Snoop Dogg T-shirt that I
Yeah, yeah.
kind of had laid out, right? He's one of the best too, man. I love him.
Yeah, I saw the Wu-Tang. I don't know if you did more than one, but
Oh,
I
no,
don't know
just
if,
the one. Yep,
okay, so this is the one that I reached out to you because I was like, who is this? I
that's
gotta
right.
reach out to him, man.
That's right. It was. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, now your kids. Okay, I see the post with I believe your son playing the tabla to was it Gangnam Style?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me, are you gonna pass this on to your kids? And let me know, you have two kids. Tell me a little bit about them, man. Are you gonna pass on this craft to them?
Totally. My daughter Emery, she's 6, and I would say like her interest in music was early. She used to bang on the drums, and she actually had her own little plastic set, and she was into it. But I mean, she got a little bit older, and she's doing some other stuff now. And she loves sitting with us, and we party in the basement all the time. But
Yeah.
my son has like this crazy passion for it. He's up before I am on days he knows we're going to the temple to play the tabla, and he's got a tabla shirt and he wants to wear that, and he comes and sits on stage with me, and
Oh,
he just
nice.
loves playing. He's got a set of his own as well, and we just leave it out for him, and that's actually his go-to toy. I think he gets anxiety if he doesn't play it, man. So
Oh,
you're right.
wow.
I'm gonna pass it on to him for sure. He's I'd say his fingers are slightly small. He's only 3 years old, Avir, but I would tell you that his passion and what I see in him, he could probably take this to a next level, right? So I totally am trying to pass that on to him, and I vibe out together. And even in the Gangnam Style video, I had a lot of comments where people are like, even though he's small, like he knows like when the
Yeah.
beat drops and picks up again. So he's definitely got the music IQ. I see it for sure.
Nice, man. Do you have any events coming up? Because I know summer must be a great time to get out there, but in the wintertime, I don't know. So let me know. Do you have any events coming up in the wintertime? Could be
No,
inside, indoors, probably.
yeah, no, there's nothing that I have actually marked on the calendar for the winter time. A few things we're working on for the summer. So winter, I'm actually usually just promoting and trying to hook up with artists, and I have a few plans and collaborations that are coming. So please
Okay.
do keep looking out. I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna be dropping some cool stuff.
Mhm.
But usually, I would say April, kind of when April hits onwards, is when we start getting the phone calls and I start getting back into all my outdoor type events because it's very enjoyable to do it outdoors. So I'm let's see how it goes, but nothing in the horizon right now for the next month or so.
Yeah, bro, I'll tell you right now, anybody that I interview, I have a small podcast, I'm trying to grow it. Takes time, but I just enjoy what I'm doing. Anybody that sits on my podcast, they're part of the Star Scorpio family, and I always look out for them, man. Always. So I'll be
Amazing.
promoting, doing things on my side,
Oh,
as much
bless.
as I can, man.
I appreciate that, man. And we should definitely like out in Toronto when we come out. Let's just kick it and jam out one time, man. We can just cook
Yeah.
some live music.
Yeah, man. Sounds good, man. This next summer is gonna be lit, man. I'm gonna see
Yes.
what I can do. Um, Oh, you know what I want to ask you? Because I stopped asking it, but I did ask it in my last interview um, with a photographer, Katrina Sutton.
Okay.
So advice, because you have this passion and you play and you're skilled at it, but I want to know if you can give any advice to someone who's ready to give up on their dream. Because I don't know if you ever wanted to just pack it in, but some people sometimes need to hear something, you know, and we don't know who we're going to touch from this interview. You know what I mean? It's going to be on the interwebs forever. So do you have any advice for anyone that's ready to give up on their dream?
Yeah, I guess the obvious is don't give up on your dream. Don't ever, because you have a purpose on earth, right? You come here and you're going to leave a mark, some type of mark, and you want to be remembered, you know. And to me, it's like, what do I want to be remembered for? And it's music. Like I think Tabla recognizes, at least sits with a lot of people when they see me and my family, etc. And you know, I almost gave it up too. I stopped for, I'm telling you, 5+ years, and picking it back up. You just get out there. You meet so many cool people who actually will touch your life, and you know, just make a lot of friends. You get a lot of exposure to a lot of different cultures and stories, and you just get a lot more out of life, right? These are, you know, your dreams are usually really big, and doesn't matter how big they are. If you don't kind of track towards them, you're never even going to make a touch of them. So for me, it's like, um, you know, you follow your dreams, and you'll just be getting a lot of purpose out of life, more than what you would have imagined.
Oh, thanks for sharing that one. That's a gem. Okay, we come to the point in the interview now. I have two cards in my hand.
Okay.
This doesn't help, but I do it anyway. Some people have been picking the same one. It's only by it's just fate, whatever, but they don't know what they're picking. So by the one you choose, I'll read it out and you answer it. The right or the left.
All right. I'm gonna go with the left.
Oh my gosh.
Ah,
I haven't had this one in a while.
nice.
Name one challenging thing you had to overcome in life.
Oh, this one is kind of think about it every day. So it's yeah, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Um, Challenge I had to come overcome in my life was losing my pops, man. We he His story is very interesting, so I do feel it's warranted to kind of share, because it really brought me to where I am today and sitting here with you. So he came to Canada as an immigrant, and worked really hard, and he was actually in the 1970s working in the coal mines out in Alberta. And there at that time, I guess they provide a mask, and you know, it's not mandatory per se, so it's kind of like people are like, you know, do you want to wear it? No, or whatever. Is it uncomfortable? At that time, I can imagine it wasn't. So a lot of people didn't wear them working there. And I guess, you know, 30 years later, it actually develops scars on your lungs, and you could end up with, you know, a medical condition. And he ended up, he was perfectly fine for 30 years, which is kind of crazy about it. But he ended up with pulmonary fibrosis and needed a lung transplant, which, shout out to Toronto General Hospital. You know, they saved my dad's life. And you come to Canada with healthcare system like that, that, you know, has a program like that, was pretty cool to see overall. But yeah, it was pretty amazing to see him sort of go down in his life, and you know, kind of on oxygen for a couple of years, and then he got the lung transplant, which was a blessing. And he gained, you know, 10 years of life. And in that 10 years, I got married. You know, I had two kids that he got to see, you know, become a grandpa and stuff like that. But yeah, it was pretty challenging when I lost my pops. It was probably the hardest thing to overcome. Anybody would tell you that, you know, losing a family member, but really losing, you know, a parent is probably the worst thing you can, and you know, go through. And yeah, think about him all the time. But that's where, you know, the challenging part was picking myself up after that. And Tabla helped me do it. You know, it was like, it made me feel good, and it makes me think, you know, he's up there now kind of watching it, and I'm making him happy, right? So it's my purpose for it, and it was the most challenging thing. So I think the two things are directly linked. So thought I'd share that point.
But thanks for sharing that, man. And this is um this is one of the reasons I'm doing this too, you know what I mean? It's it's healing for my guest, maybe a listener, and then also
Feel you, brother.
Also myself. Okay. So we're gonna do something for us, which is play the tabla to a couple songs. I don't know if it's the whole song or what, but my wife actually, we were talking about it, and she chose two songs, and I gave it to you ahead of time. So yeah, it would be good to hear you play the tabla to those songs. You can introduce it too. So you know I do this to give back to charities, a good cause. So do you have a charity that Star Scorpio would be donating to today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Khalsa Aid, which I'll send you kind of afterwards, but an organization that actually has helped a lot for several years. But in our culture, Sikh culture, if you go to our Gurdwara anytime, there's always offering of food and sort of, if you need a place to stay and whatnot, always caring. And we don't really care if, what your culture, your background is or your story is. So very open. Khalsa Aid's been the same way. They all the natural disasters that have happened, through the U.S. and entire world, really Canada, they step up and they do the exact same thing. They come, they feed the people who are in need,
Mhm.
they provide for them, and just a worldwide foundation that I feel is close to my heart. And so that's an easy one for me, my man, is to tell you that that would be the best donation for sure.
All right, perfect. Yeah, send me that after.
Absolutely.
My I don't you can't see this, but my eyes are watering up right now. So
Oh, I can
I'm
tell by your voice, man. It's all
yeah,
good, bro.
but I'm glad I have my shades on now because I'd look a mess. But before you also play, let the people know where they can find you, and then let's get into the music.
Yeah, for sure. So find me is at like you mentioned, the handle on Instagram is at tabla.craft. I do have TikTok, although TikTok I don't really get on much. They're really just kind of quick clips, but
Yeah.
Instagram you'll get the full versions. Look out for me this summer at a lot of your local music festivals. And you know what? If you got a wedding coming up and you want me to perform at your cocktail parties, I promise I'll bring the fire and we'll have a good time for your guests. And just overall looking forward to anything that's coming my way, my man.
Yeah, and girl, me want for you all, yo. Put me arms right around you. Girl, you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Girl, me want for just squeeze you. Put me things all around you. Girl, you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Me guide them jam, me no care. You take it anytime, anywhere. In the square, so me no fear. And as a woman, I will be there. Me want a girl, me can't wine for me. Me want a girl, me can't take care of me. Let me feel it, let me feel it. Oh, me have to really squeeze it. Y'all me want for you all, yo. Put me arms right around you. Y'all you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Y'all me just want to squeeze, yeah. Put me things all around, yeah. Y'all you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Hold on, like a fast bike on the road, boom, 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 boom. Girl on the back and she a boom, 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 boom. Give me the maga one out the fat cum, cum, cum. Me the play last one time, me come to cum, cum. Me out of control, I'm more fire, she want in her soul. She say more and more and still she grow. And still me multiply more, y'all know I fi just hold ya. Put me arms right around ya. Girl, you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life. Girl, me want fi just squeeze ya. Put me arms right around ya. Girl, you give me the tightest hold me ever get in my life.
So, Arvind, thank you for coming out today, season 5, episode 4 of Real Talk with Star Scorpio.
I wish you all the best in the future, and thank you for the opportunity, man. As soon as you reached out, I was super stoked, and I've been under the weather all week, but nothing was going to stop me from doing this with you today. So my pleasure, my man.
Amazing. And we out.